You've been sitting in the dark for 20 minutes. Your baby is finally asleep on your chest. You stand up, lean over the crib, lower them inch by inch, and the second their body leaves yours, their eyes open. Most parents get told this means their baby is spoiled, or manipulative, or that they created a bad habit. That explanation is almost always wrong. Once you understand what's actually happening, you stop trying to fix the wrong thing. Because for a young baby, your body is not just a place they happen to like. It can be part of the thing that helps them get to sleep in the first place. Not just emotionally, physiologically. Your warmth, pressure, smell, rhythm, movement, and sound can act like a temporary regulatory system for a nervous system that is still immature. So when your baby sleeps better on you, that does not automatically mean you created a bad pattern. In many babies, it means contact is helping lower arousal, smooth the shift into sleep, and hold their body in a calmer state than separation can. That idea starts with something parents already feel intuitively. Babies often want closeness most when they are tired, upset, overstimulated, or vulnerable. Bowlby's attachment theory helps explain why. A caregiver is not just socially important. For an infant, the caregiver is the safe haven. Sleep onset is one of those vulnerable moments where control drops, awareness fades, and separation can suddenly matter more. But this is where the story changes. Bowlby helps explain why closeness matters. He does not fully explain why your body works so well in that exact moment. For that, the stronger explanation is co-regulation. A young baby is not always regulating sleep readiness alone. Some of that work is still happening between the baby and the caregiver, which means your baby may not just be falling asleep on a person. They may be falling asleep inside a regulatory environment. That is why this behavior can look so irrational from the outside. The crib is quiet, the room is dark, the baby looked asleep 1 second ago. So why does everything fall apart the moment you put them down? Because what disappeared may not just be your arms. What disappeared may be the whole sensory system that was helping them stay settled. The heat, the pressure, the tiny shifts in movement, the sound of breathing, the smell they know, the heartbeat-like rhythm of being against a body. The crib is not simply a new surface. To a baby, it can be a completely different state. This is where Myron Hofer's work matters. Hofer was a developmental psychobiologist who spent decades studying what happens when infants are separated from caregivers. In work synthesized in 1994, he argued that caregivers act as hidden regulators, providing not just comfort, but biological regulation through contact and presence. That idea changes the whole meaning of the scene. Your baby is not necessarily choosing you instead of sleep. Your baby may be depending on the regulatory conditions your body was providing to get there. And there is good experimental work behind that idea. In a 2013 study by Esposito and colleagues, infants under 6 months showed a rapid calming response when carried by a walking mother. Crying dropped, voluntary movement dropped, heart rate dropped too. That matters because it shows that contact plus motion is not just a sentimental parenting story. It can produce measurable physiological calming, which means the classic image of pacing the room with a baby on your shoulder is not random tradition. It may work because the baby's body is shifting state in response to being carried. But here is the part that matters more than most parents realize. A baby who falls asleep on you is not always failing to sleep alone. Sometimes they are failing the transition. That distinction changes the whole scene, because many parents think the crib is the problem, when the harder part may be the abrupt transfer out of regulation. A 2022 study by Omura's team looked closely at this. Carrying helped crying infants calm and fall asleep, but the transfer itself could destabilize that calmer state. Sitting with the infant for a short time after carrying improved the chances of a successful transfer. The point is not that there is one magic method. The point is that the handoff matters. So when your baby wakes, the instant contact disappears. It may not be because they were never really tired. It may be because the state was fragile and the transition changed too much too fast. That is why this moment gets misread so often. People judge it at the level of character, when the real issue may be state control. From the outside, it gets labeled dependence. From the inside, it may be an immature nervous system losing the support that was organizing it. Babies can be tired and still not stable enough to stay asleep through a big sensory shift. They can be calm and still not be able to hold that calm alone yet. Age matters here, but not in a neat way. In the newborn months especially, regulation is immature. Sleep is lighter, transitions are rougher, and the line between distress, drowsiness, and sleep is less stable. Over the first year, many babies get better at these transitions, but not all at once. So when parents say, "My baby only sleeps on me," what they often mean is something simpler and more specific. On me, settling happens faster. Resistance drops. Sleep lasts longer. That pattern makes sense if contact reduces arousal more effectively than separation. And this is where another weak explanation falls apart. Not everything that repeats is just a habit. Sometimes a pattern repeats because it is familiar. Sometimes it repeats because it is actually regulating the baby better. Often, both are true. There is also a narrower point from skin-to-skin research that matters here. Some studies, especially in newborn and preterm infants, have found more organized sleep during contact, including more quiet sleep. Ludington Ho and colleagues reported this in preterm infants. That should not be stretched to every older full-term baby at home. But it supports one strong idea. Contact is not only comforting. In some contexts, it may help organize sleep itself. So this is not just, "My baby likes me better." It may also be, "My baby's body settles better this way." And once you see that, the whole habit argument gets smaller. Sleep is not immune to learning. Repeated patterns matter. But reducing this behavior to a bad habit misses the biology underneath it. That is why the strongest version of this story is not "it's just attachment" and not "it's just routine." Infant sleep is more transactional than that. Developmental work summarized by Avi Sada makes this clear. Infant sleep is shaped by biology, developmental stage, environment, and parent-infant interaction together. So the real answer is layered. Your baby may seek your body because closeness feels safer. Your baby may stay calmer there because your body helps regulate arousal. Your baby may wake on transfer because the state was not fully stabilized. And repeated experience may then make that pathway even more familiar. That is not manipulation. It is a developing system using the conditions that work. Here is the layer most people miss. Your body may not just be helping your baby fall asleep. It may be helping your baby tolerate the act of letting go. Sleep means letting go. Letting go of scanning. Letting go of movement. Letting go of control. For adults, that feels ordinary. For babies, especially young ones, that drop can be harder. Contact can make that drop feel safer. So when a baby resists being put down right at the edge of sleep, The struggle may not be with the crib as an object. It may be with the sudden need to finish that final descent without the support that got them there. That reframe matters because it changes the parent's lens. Instead of seeing a clingy baby who refuses sleep, you may be seeing a baby whose nervous system still leans on borrowed regulation. And there is some evidence that contact-rich early care relates to stress regulation more broadly. Beijers and colleagues found that more co-sleeping history in the first 6 months predicted lower cortisol reactivity at 12 months, while longer breastfeeding predicted faster cortisol recovery. That does not prove that sleeping on a parent's body causes better long-term regulation. It does not. But it supports the larger idea that contact-rich caregiving and stress regulation are linked in meaningful ways. So yes, this behavior has emotional meaning, but it also has mechanism. That distinction matters. The emotional meaning is that tiredness and separation can activate proximity seeking. The mechanism is that contact can actually help the baby regulate. Those are not the same thing, and when people blur them together, they end up with bad explanations. This is not proof that contact-dependent sleep equals secure attachment. It does not. And it is not proof that independent sleep is unnatural. The evidence does not support that either. What it supports is narrower and more useful. Many babies sleep better on a caregiver because the caregiver's body can temporarily function like a multisensory regulatory environment. And that creates one more problem. What people often moralize as dependence may actually be a regulation problem being judged with the wrong lens, not a character flaw, not a parenting failure, a state control issue. Now for the hard boundary. What calms a baby best in the moment is not always the same thing as the safest sleep setup. That tension has to stay clear, because once a baby is asleep, safe sleep guidance still matters. Calming contact is not the same as a safe sleep surface. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that infants sleep on their back on a firm, flat, non-inclined surface. So none of this should be twisted into, science says babies are supposed to sleep on parents. It does not. The research helps explain why contact works. It does not erase the risks of unsafe sleep conditions. There is also a calmer warning here that matters. Better sleep on you, by itself, does not mean a problem. It does not mean your baby is manipulative. It does not automatically mean overdependence. And it does not mean you broke sleep. But context matters. If sleep difficulties are extreme, persistent, unusually intense for the child's age, or show up with other concerning signs, that is worth noticing. Not panicking over, not self-diagnosing from one video, just noticing. Because this behavior exists on a spectrum. For many babies, especially in the first months, it is completely understandable. But if something changes suddenly, becomes much more severe, or sits alongside feeding problems, breathing concerns, unusual lethargy, pain, or other red flags, the question stops being, why does my baby prefer me? And becomes, what else is going on here? That is the difference between romanticizing the behavior and reading it accurately. So the next time your baby falls asleep on your chest and wakes the moment you put them down, try seeing the moment with more precision. Not as proof that you failed to teach independence, not as proof that your baby is working you over, but as a clue. Your body may have been doing more than holding them. It may have been helping regulate them. It may have been carrying part of the load their system cannot fully carry yet. And that is why the moment can feel so brutal. Because from the outside, it looks like a baby rejecting sleep. But from the inside, it may be a baby losing the bridge that was carrying them there. So no, not every contact nap is a deep psychological event. But this moment is often richer than people make it sound. Your baby may sleep better on you because, for a while, you are not just nearby. You are the steadier system their nervous system leans on when it cannot cross that gap alone. You sit there in the dark. Their body softens. Their breathing slows. And for a few minutes, your chest is not just where they happen to be. It is carrying part of the work of getting them from arousal into rest. That is why the failed transfer can feel so sudden. From the outside, it is just a baby waking up. From the inside, it may be the collapse of the conditions that were helping sleep happen at all. And once you understand that, another baby mystery starts to make more sense too. Because if contact helps a baby settle into sleep, then the next question is what happens when they wake in the night and immediately need to check whether that regulatory world is still there.